It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day and Walkabout Wednesday. It is so good to be back, guys. I, as you know, have been away at our property up in Northern California for over a month. And we were gone through some real hot weather. We have really hot weather coming here in San Diego. August and September are our hottest months. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Now, yesterday I spent the entire day just weeding and picking up detritus. Didn't think you'd be real interested in following me around to do that. So today I just want to show you what I'm going to be putting on my list of things to do. Now, right now when it's so hot, you can deadhead plants like these crassulas that are not monocarpic, where the blooms are clearly spent and crunchy. That's an activity that you can do when it's hot. To take long stemmy plants, pull them out, cut them and reset them, this is not the time. You need to have patience and wait until the days are shorter, the nights are longer and cooler, or most likely your tender graptosedums, crassulas, echeverias, and so on are going to desiccate in the heat. These string of pearls that we moved a couple of months ago from the fountain that I placed in here as cuttings and set a rock on top to hold have still not rooted. Amazing. And what that tells me clearly, even, and it makes sense, the strings are dormant in the summer, so naturally, duh, they're not going to throw off roots. So keeping them in this cool shady place and just tolerating them being kind of gnarly looking is what I'm doing, and we'll just stick with them and see how things go in the wintertime. So my collectibles have held up very, very well in my absence. My Pilosocereus is looking stunning. Remember, this hasn't bloomed for me yet, so I am so excited for that. My Spiral Sirius for Bessie I had set this over in the shade so that it would get greener because it was starting to turn a little yellow. My gorgeous Mammillaria in my Susanok pot is looking stunning. This is a little thing that Greg picked out at a cactus and succulent show years ago, and the tag is broken. It is a Gastema hybrid. It gets a really cute little leafy whatchamacallit on it in the summertime, so we'll keep our eyes open for that. And thank you so much. A follower, Gina, sent me two Kelly Griffin Aloe hybrids. This one is Wildfire, and over here is Crimson Dragon. They're just so stunning, and I thank you so much, Gina, for sending those to me. I will treasure them. Over here, you know, this I want to identify for you as a perfect microclimate. Look at these plants. You remember I planted this out in spring, in March, right at the beginning of quarantine. And these plants are absolutely thriving despite the fact that so many other things in my garden look a little desiccated, because they get shade all morning until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then as the sun moves over, they get dappled sunlight from the shade of this bougainvillea. I water these plants a lot because I don't want the bougainvillea to dry out. The soil is very well draining, and everything is just happy as a clam. So microclimates, I can't say enough about them. My variegated millii, this is better luck than good management. I stuck it in this corner because I thought it looked nice here, but it turns out that not only does it look nice, this is the perfect place. It gets a little shade and protection too. This is a full sun plant, but because of the variegation, I thought it would appreciate some protection. And I know, don't hate me, but I still haven't done anything with all of my little leaf props. This was another project we started at the beginning of quarantine in March. It's now August. And you can see that everything is doing fine despite the fact that I haven't put anything in soil yet. Some of the little plantlets absolutely do not need their mom leaf anymore. Look at that. That is as crispy as a cracker. This is definitely ready to be planted. But it's interesting to see, you know, just how long these are going to go before, you know, I don't know, they start to turn up their toes. It's been months and they're still thriving. Our little Fred Ives trunk stump is also doing just dandy. I'm going to continue to let those plants grow on that trunk until cooler temperatures. Remember when my Brugmansia fell over from the weight of all the blooms? I think that was probably in May, early May maybe. Look at that, boom, she's back. And another thing that I thought that would be really helpful that I noticed on these ghosties, I was trimming back, you know, the spent blooms, and I noticed this bloom here. See that? A lot of you will send me pictures of this type of activity on your plant and ask me, is this a new plant or is this a flower? Now this is a flower. Let's compare it to an offset, and so you can see clearly the difference. Here's a little offset. This is a new baby plant forming right beneath a cut. Here's a plant forming right beneath a cut. Do you see the difference in these three things? The bloom is pregnant with flower. The leaves are a deeper color. They're longer, more etiolated. And often they grow more on a stem. So you can see clearly the difference there. This isn't going to do anything other than just bloom and die. These will turn obviously into viable cuttings down the road that we can plant in the garden. And my little toolbox is drying out. Every day gets a little drier. It looks like, uh-oh, we've also got some insect activity here, maybe a little aphid, just because it's stressed. So, you know, I may move this into a shadier spot and just kind of ignore it, kind of garden of death this guy until the fall when I can pull it out and rework it. The spoon, the succulent spoon, still hanging on a little bit. God bless it. All of these months of it just sitting here in burning sun, and some of these little plants are still hanging on. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you know, I need to replace some rock. I had to pull a lot of weeds through here yesterday, and I disrupted a lot of my gravel. And because of quarantine, I didn't want to go out and do anything that wasn't essential, and I've been trying to always pull materials from my stash here at home. What I really want to put down here is 3/8 inch burgundy rock. I wasn't happy with the gray salt and pepper kind of rock. I thought it blended too much with the flagstones, and it just didn't pop. I think the 3/8 inch burgundy, when I can get my hands on it, is going to be the answer to my question. So stay tuned. Oh my goodness. This area over here has thrived. Look at the Crassula Undulata. How beautifully healthy that is. That's a rather fragile plant. It does get full sun in the garden. It is not desiccating at all. My Fred Ives, Graptivaria Fred Ives, they look kind of right now. They're a little stressed. The South African falcata or propeller plants are all getting ready to bloom right now, so you can enjoy that in the garden. You know, basically your job is just to deadhead, to pull off spent leaves, to clean up, to weed, but try to resist the temptation to mess too much with your plants. It's too hot. Yeah.
What about the spiders?
Oh yeah, the spiders. We've got some really cute spiders. See, look at her. I think that's a wolf spider. Maybe someone that knows more about spiders can tell me. But remember, they are friends of the garden because they eat the bad bugs. So we want to encourage spiders in the garden. In, I don't know, I guess it was May, we took some of the sedums, firestorms, and we just plopped them in as cuttings here. And you may have a lot of plants that look like this right now. See how the leaves, they're kind of wrinkled. This desperately looks thirsty, doesn't it? Yeah, but remember, it's dormant. It is rooted in there pretty good, but if I overwater right now, I'm going to rot it. Dormancy means it's sleeping, and you can apply water, but it might not take the water in and use it. So in other words, the ground is going to stay wet and the roots are going to rot. So if you are concerned about your plants looking like this, providing some shade for them, umbrellas, weed fabric, frost cloth, whatever you have at the hottest parts of the day, will cause the plants to come out of that dormancy because the weather will be cooler, and then you can safely apply a little bit of water. Now you can see that this gorgeous tight little arrangement that it used to be gorgeous and tight is starting to run amok. The sedum rubrotinctum in particular is very leggy and run amucky. The platyphylla crassula is starting to go south and sideways, and my agave quadricolor is throwing off pups everywhere. This echeveria is stressed and looks like crap, but now is not the time to dig into this. Now is the time to remove spent blooms. Now is the time to clean out dead underleaves and tidy it up the best you can, but don't stress. Now the fountain, remember we had a different approach to the fountain this time. I didn't want to pull an umbrella out and deal with that all summer, so I took out a lot of the softer things like the string of pearls and some of the little sedums that just were always desiccating in the hottest months. The calico kitten, I cut it way back to a nub. And you know what? It's not looking bad, is it? I put some tough aloes in here. The firestorms are still looking good. This crassula looks amazing. The burro tail, the donkey tail, the sedum clavatum is looking really good. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how the fountain looks, all in all. My roses, I just applied a systemic to because I noticed that they were starting to get munched on again. So I use a Bare 3-in-1 tree and shrub systemic, follow the directions, applied that, watered in deeply. Our tapestry that we did a few months ago is looking lively. I'm super happy with that. This Xerosclepis probably could use a trim. It's starting to run amok. The falcata's getting ready to bloom. The crested sunburst is still looking really, really good. I am so happy that this area gets good morning sun. Our little basket that we made is still looking pretty good. You can see it's suffering a little bit of stress. I keep that moss really, really moist because it dries out so quickly. So the jury is in too. You know, when we talked about the master class that I'm going to be offering for sale online at probably the beginning of the year, most of you said that you would prefer that I do a smaller installation first instead of a great big one. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out this whole area with you, and we are going to redo the garbage can area into a beautiful tapestry. We will go step by step and cover everything from A to Z. I'm also going to have Greg install a couple of more gutters here. It is going to be fantastic. You were all with me when I completely gutted these gutters and set them all as cuttings, and that was about 5 weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, some things are looking a little, a little stressed, mostly the aeoniums. But like I said, remember, now isn't the time to be puttering around with the plants. Now is the time to remove spent blooms, to remove dead leaves, look for bugs, treat if necessary. Also, some of you mentioned that the string of pearls did not look particularly great, and you weren't wrong. So what I did yesterday is I just cut them. I had 3 long stringy strands of them in here. I didn't pull them out. I just gave them basically a bob. I gave them a really serious haircut. See here and here. So let's see what happens. Let's see if in the winter they don't regenerate and give us some really good new growth. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity reporting with Walkabout Wednesday and your succulent tip of the day. See you tomorrow.